Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2019 Career Mode, episode number 106 today for the finale of season number 5 here today at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. It all comes down to this then in this episode. It's all in our hands for myself versus Lewis Hamilton in the Drivers' Championship, and then us as a team, myself and George Russell versus Renault and Mercedes, but more so Renault. If you remember, for about 2/3 of this season, we're dominating the championship and they're so consistent, but it looks like it really is just ours to lose basically, so hopefully there's no disaster at this GP and we can just have a fun last race. Last time out, the Brazilian Grand Prix, if you guys did miss that by the way, be sure to go check that one out before you see the rest of this episode. That was a titanic battle and probably the best teammate battle I've ever had on this game, so hoping for more of the same basically to round us out for season number 5. Let's go to qualifying and see how we do over one lap.
Here we are at the beautiful Yas Island circuit where qualifying is about to begin, so sit back, relax and enjoy the action. Now then, Anthony Davidson, you're not getting any younger, but you have been involved in your fair share of qualifying sessions in an illustrious 30-year career. How do you deal with the pressure when you have that one chance to deliver a perfect lap?
It's not so much about dealing with the pressure, it's more about how you approach the risk and just how much of it are you willing to take. You're constantly balancing the car on the edge of grip from braking, cornering and traction, and over the course of a lap, it's easy to get that balance wrong, and that's why achieving the perfect lap is almost impossible. As you say, I've been doing this 30 years now, and it never gets any easier.
Right, so here we go then, rolling on for our final qualifying session of the season here in Q1. Hopefully no calamities here today as we come through the last corner as the sun starts to come down here in Yas Marina. Across the line for us, P8 as we cross the line, but then eventually I actually cut this super fine there, so living on the edge and dangerously for the last race here. P15, literally 1/10 away from being knocked out in the final Q1 session of the season, so yeah, thankfully made it through and actually saved tyres in that kind of way, so kind of thankful because that means hopefully we can get through into Q3 with one lap. We can have 2 runs in Q3, which has been a rarity for us as of late. You saw there, got held up a little bit by Giovinazzi in the Haas, but that traffic won't be too much of an issue. The rest of the lap very strong across the line. Fastest of all, eventually will be down to P5 there, but Russell along there with us in P4, so it seems like that's where the car pace is. It would seem in Q2, McLaren, Red Bull and Mercedes make up the top 3 there, so nice to see a nice mixture of all different teams, but I'm hoping now as we move into the top 10 shootout, it'll be all Ferrari potentially as we look to try and round out the final Q3 slot of this season in style. For us though, we're only in P5 right now. There was a bit of a mistake though into this chicane specifically. You're about to see how much time I'm going to gain on this second flyer. About 3/10 there, just taking a little bit more vigorously on the exit of that right-hander. Just gained me 3/10 there, so that's how much time I lost on that first run. As we come through now the final 2 corners, George Russell, my teammate, has popped the Ferrari on provisional pole position. Can we join him on the front row? Can we get pole ourselves? No, we make a massive mistake on the last corner, and that will only see us in P3. I say only, I mean it's still pretty decent there, but we don't get the chance to officially get the 1-2 for Ferrari. They're neither the last pole position for the team this season there. Russell gets pole. Fair play. I mean, to be fair, he deserves a pole position. I don't think he's had a pole so far this season. I think we've had 2 so far that we haven't actually been on because we've taken penalties. So, but fair play. The car's looking strong now, though. 1 in 3. Hamilton is there in P2, but like I mentioned, it is very much ours to lose in terms of I would have to score no points. Russell would have to score no points for us to have a calamity in both championships. So it's all about trying to round out this season with style and trying to get the Ferrari double in the best way possible, basically. So let's go to the grid and let's see what we can do.
It's twilight here in the United Arab Emirates and twilight also on another Formula One season. It's been a captivating story throughout the year, but will we see one final dramatic twist before the end? We have 21 corners here at Yas Island Circuit with 10 to the right and 11 to the left. It's a total lap distance of 3.4 miles. 2 long straights open up some passing opportunities into the chicanes, and we expect average lap speeds of around 123 miles per hour. Joining me for today's race once again is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about the engineer. That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
There are never any guarantees in this business, but certainly the performance last time out would have boosted their confidence coming into this one.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. George Russell did very well in qualifying yesterday and will start today's race from pole position, and the engineer completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Stroll, Lando Norris and Perez, Giovinazzi, Gasly, Butler and Daniel Ricciardo. Hamilton, they've taken a grid penalty. Grosjean, Charles Leclerc and Faber, Vettel, Bottas, Kimi Raikkonen and Kevin Magnussen. Hulkenberg and Daniel Kvyat completes the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Right, so in some weird poetic way, we've been gifted second place with Hamilton having another penalty here this race. So doubly so, this championship is on our hands. But as I was saying, it's very poetic because for the final race now of the season, we've got a Ferrari front row lockout there. George Russell on pole position, myself in second place. We've got the run on the inside into turn one, so we have a good enough start. We might be able to just nick first place straight off the bat there, but it's going to be great, hopefully, to set this up now, this race. A straight fight between myself and Russell for the race win and second place. That would be mega, like it was based in Brazil. If we're going to have a repeat of that, that'd be a really nice way to round it out, but obviously we're going to have to see. In terms of strategy, we're going to go for a two-stop there with 2 sets of medium tyres. Not too sure what everyone else might do. There might be a few that gamble on a one-stop with hard tyres, but either way, traffic's also going to be a major issue in Sector 3, but it's going to be the same for everyone, and with that, we are ready to go for the final race of this season. 21 races later, and we have turned what was the worst car on the grid by a mile to the best car on the grid, with a front row lockout here for the final time in Season 5. Fire lights are out and we're underway for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and it's a stonking start there. Can we get a run into turn one on Russell there? We're half alongside, but he's going to have the better run, pinches us into the apex there. We take it decently enough, but we have to remain in P2, but it's still a 1-2 for Ferrari. All calm there in that regard. Verstappen in P3, then you got the Red Bull and the 2 McLarens there, but we're already pressurising Russell. We go a little bit defensive into that left-hander as we go through the chicane into the hairpin again, just letting him know that we're there and maybe lining up a pass early on this main straight here. No DRS, of course, but we should have the speed with the slipstream rich mix and overtake mode eventually once we get up into 7th gear, although opting for a late switch to overtake mode, it would appear. But here we go then in the slipstream, where we're going to go on the left-hand side. Russell somewhat defensive, but keeps it in the middle of the track there, and he's going to keep it to the inside. We go for the early break point, trying to go for the switch move onto the right-hand side, get the power down earlier than Russell can, and try and get the move done then on the second mini straight here, either left or right. Which way are we going to go? We're going to go the long way around on the outside. It'll turn to the inside though for the next right-hander. Russell across the curb, but he gets a good run for that next left-hander, and it's oh so close between our front left and front right tyres, as we're still neck and neck, side by side through that entire section, but Russell just about grabs the acceleration there on the exit and maintains first place. What would it seem like for the rest of lap number 1, because it's so difficult to do anything really in Sector 3 there, and it's so difficult to do much on this circuit as well in general as we move through on towards lap number 3 here. We're going to set the fast lap of the Grand Prix, but even though we're setting that fast lap, keeping the pressure on Russell, I still can't really make any ends way into overtaking him quite yet, and even on the following lap, and we have to wait until 2 laps later onto lap number 4 then to make a move with DRS potentially here as we open up the rear flap. Overtake mode going rich mix the entire time here now on this lap. We've already saved the engine temps enough on the previous one, and so here we go, swooping through on the left now, cut across, although we're a bit too deep. We're way too deep, and Russell gets the switch move on us there and gets back into first place. We've not had a great break zone there, but somehow we've actually still ended up with the lead of the GP, because Russell was very poor off that next right-hander. Verstappen's in the mix as well. He's side by side now with Russell. He defends so hard, our teammate does, but Verstappen has got the elbows out. Could the Dutchman get into second place and ruin the party for Ferrari? The long way round will have to be for the Dutchman, but our fellow Brit Russell gets that and keeps the second place going for now. But for how much longer? That Renault actually looks very, very decent there, and even the 2 McLarens, you can see in the minimap there on lap number 7, us top 5 cars there in a world of our own. But at the moment, I've actually got some issues to deal with here on lap number 7. Not only is the tyre wear kicking in, but the tyre carcass temperatures have gone a little bit. You can see that front right tyre absolutely gone for some reason, orange there. I don't know if that has something to do with the setup changes, but now Russell will come at us thick and fast. We go defensive, try and pinch him on the left-hand side. Doesn't work out. We go for the wider line there, try and cut back tighter as ever. Do the Nico Rosberg, essentially, like he did in 2016 on Verstappen. Try and cut in earlier, basically. Get the power down earlier. And we're going to go for it again to re-overtake him on the back straight, on the left-hand side. Very close to the wall there. Russell and myself giving each other the pinch. And again for the second time now in this race. We go way too deep into that brake zone, into a brake zone. And we only just about survived that attack from Verstappen there. So the tyres are shot. I think it's time to come in for us. We cannot go any longer than this lap here. The rear tyres are gone, but especially that front left there, you can see locking up again. Basically, the temperature's gone. I just can't drive with this set of tyres anymore. So we have to come in now on this lap. Probably one lap earlier than I wanted to necessarily, but it's also one that my engineer said we could do. So we're going to come in and just stick to that strategy and come in on this lap then. So Russell continues on. I think Verstappen will continue as well. Both McLarens actually. So we are the earliest of the top 5 to come in. So just showing how much of an issue those tyres were. But for 2 times that was going way too deep. I don't know if that was the tyre issue, maybe hampering us both times, or just I don't know, maybe just being a little bit too aggressive and overconfident in the brake zone. Maybe need to calm things down at this stage. But I just want to make sure we try and stay in the fight there and maintain the first place, because it's all about track position at Abu Dhabi. It really is about controlling the race. Once you get away from someone at Abu Dhabi, I've noticed it in previous seasons of this career mode, it's just so hard to catch them back up. So I need to try and keep the race lead in control and within reach, because I remember last season, I think it was whoever won that race. I can't remember who won it. I think it might have been our teammate Hamilton at the time, but whoever won it, they just walked away with it, and I couldn't catch them whatever I did at this circuit. So it's crucial to try and keep one hand on the steering wheel, as it were, basically, when it comes to the kind of top 5 battle. But we talked about traffic earlier in this episode before the race began, and so here we are then, a massive train of traffic. Butler, Magnussen, Kvyat going so slow in the hotel section that you can literally see pushing Kvyat through, but I've got no way to get past. The space is just non-existent there, having to lift off 2-3 times for the rush-in, and maybe some more here, because Butler is going very slow indeed for some reason. He's even holding up the Williams car of Magnussen, because here goes K-Mag now, a move to the inside there, and so they're side by side, and look at that, oh my word, Butler having to lift off for a good 5 seconds for him. I don't know what on earth he's doing there. The Red Bull really isn't that slow of a car anymore, but we go round the outside then, get the move done, but the damage is already done. Russell maintains the position against us, and we may have lost some more time also to others as well. So we're now right behind Magnussen. Can we use the slingshot and the DRS off K-Mag to maybe try and launch us at Russell and get back into the fight there? But that was, basically a textbook bit of Abu Dhabi annoyance in Sector 3 there. That was very much, channeling the Fernando Alonso vibes from 2010 in his Ferrari, the annoyance of the traffic in Sector 3. But here we come now, chasing back after Russell. Used Magnussen as a slingshot there. Got back in range within 1 second, and we hold that one range second into the next lap. Lap number 10, taking the wide line to turn 1 there. We're closing up to Toro Rosso, I think, of Valtteri Bottas, so he may be a bit of a mobile chicane. That might help us out in a way, because if Russell gets held up enough, I could just swoop in and try and get the double overtake perhaps. As we go into the chicane now at the end of Sector 1, winding up this move now into the hairpin, basically trying to get the tightest turn in here in first gear, then pick up the power in second, and then we go to overtake mode, rich mix and DRS, all 3 combinations, and now we just try and wait and build up the speed. We're going to get a toe off Bottas, then go and try and get the toe off Russell, and potentially go for the move maybe on the outside. It's a light brake zone, but we kind of roll the car through and actually get the move on the inside, enough so that Russell has to lift off, and he gets on the curb there very badly indeed. You see how he stepped off the throttle because he got way too wide on the exit there, and so that was a nice tasty little subtle move from us in the chicane to get the position and effectively what should be a net first place, because you can see there the Renault behind Verstappen. And speaking of Verstappen, actually very funny enough, we cut straight on to him actually overtaking Russell. This is now, so everyone's made their first pit stop. I'm in first place, Verstappen now is in second. He's overtaken Russell, and Russell down to P3, and then you've got the 2 McLarens following on. But now Verstappen is closing up to us, and he goes for a move for the race lead. So for the first time, the race lead's been contested by a car that's not a Ferrari, as Verstappen goes around the outside. Double lock up from us there, pretty poor brake zone, but we're going to try and get the second bite of the cherry of DRS here and get the place back. But you've got to crucially see that Verstappen is on a set of soft tyres, so I'm kind of expecting him to come and attack us because he is on the softer compound. But look at that, Russell out of nowhere. Where on earth does he come from? He's trying to get second place back there and make it a 1-2 for Ferrari all over again. I don't even know where he came from. I thought he was way too far back for that. But no, fair play. He's tried his best. Couldn't make it work out on that lap, but on the very next one, he will try and make it work out and get back ahead of Verstappen for P2 in this GP. So all three positions, all podium positions swapping left, right and centre. You love to see it, really. But unfortunately for Russell, there's going to be a final swap here before the second round of pit stops, as Verstappen will get back at him in the same place there. Easy does it with a DRS pass on the right-hand side, and he's back up into second as we now move through into lap number 17 onto 18. 10 laps to go in this GP. Verstappen now has come in for his pit stop. Russell continues on with me. He'll come in on the next lap as we try and extend this stint a little bit further just to make sure we don't double stack with Russell there. I probably should have come in on the same lap as Verstappen in hindsight, but I didn't know when Russell was going to come in or whether really I was going to come in on what lap. But we now watch on Russell's pit stop here on that next lap there. He's going to come out behind, I think that is Verstappen still, and I think even a McLaren. Yes, he's been jumped by one of the McLarens. That's Sergio Perez. So it's Verstappen in a net P2, Perez in P3, it would seem, and then Russell down to P4. I mean, depends on where we come out. We might even be jumped by Verstappen. I don't know how the tyre wear has been pretty poor on this set of medium tyres, and it hasn't been the quickest of in-laps here. So we're now onto a set of another medium tyres, as the Ferrari definitely doesn't have the tyre wear compared to that Renault, I guess, because obviously Verstappen went on two sets of softs and then a set of mediums. So definitely the confidence isn't there with the Ferrari team for this race for sure. But we now come down this very unique pit lane exit, and we're going to see where we are. Where on earth is Verstappen? He's already passed us. He's already passed us. Perez also already passed us. Where on earth is Russell then? So we're going to come out in P5. That is just ahead of George Russell, but we've been jumped by not only Perez but also Verstappen, and so we're down to a net P3 because those Toro Rossos up ahead I don't suspect are actually fighting us for the podium positions. I think they're out of sync of this GP. But now with only 8 laps to go of this Grand Prix and just a few subtle differences in the tyre strategies and the pit stops here, the race has been turned on its head basically for us, because we're down to P3 now. We're controlling the race for so long, along with Russell for first and second, and now both of us are down in P3 and 4 effectively once everyone else makes their pit stop. So we now try and get the move on Perez. Very opportunistic there. Catch him napping behind Leclerc, and we get the jump on him. We're up into P4 with Russell also get the jump. Hopefully he will do. We're going to try and break the toe a little bit from the Mexican as Verstappen up ahead makes the move on Leclerc down the inside. Leclerc though keeps his nose in there. They're side by side. Can we try and get in the mix? We go for the very nice tighter line on the left-hander and get a very smooth little jump there on Leclerc, and so we're up into P3 on the road. Verstappen P2. Eventually that will turn into first and second though, as you can see on this next clip here on lap 21. We've set a purple first sector, so we're really gunning for Verstappen now, but he is leading the way. Perez third place, and Russell's still not able to get past him there, so that's a little bit worrying for him. Hopefully he doesn't get held up too much there for the rest of the Grand Prix. But here we go now, the move to get the lead back of this GP on lap 21, up into first place there. Big brake zone, little bit wide there and deep, but not too much like we did earlier with Russell, and we maintain the first place, and we're going to push away and try and break that 1 second gap, and that will allow Russell, who is now obviously, as you can see, overtaking the McLaren, and he now goes to overtake the Renault, and so all order is resumed for now. It is a 1-2 Ferrari once again. But for how long? Because Verstappen is right on the back of Russell, straight off there on the next straight off the chicane. DRS open on the right hand side there, goes the long way round as we lead the way. Verstappen is back into second place then, and Russell's actually right now neck and neck with the McLaren and might just be forced out here, so he's having real issues shaking these orange cars, and so Perez comes knocking again for P3. DRS on the right hand side there, and also you've got to remember Norris is not too far behind as well, and now Perez has got the inside line. He'll shove Russell off the racing line there, and now look at that. I said Norris, watch him now, he's right in the back and he's got DRS himself. He's going to get a toe off his teammates, so the two McLarens working together in tandem to try and fight Russell. They're 3 wide now, lock up from Perez in the middle. Russell goes 3 wide with the McLarens in sector 3. Bonkers stuff there, but in the end has to let off and let them both go. So he's down to P5 now. This is become a bit of a crisis for George, I can't lie now. He's going to come back at him though. We've seen his fighting spirit before so far this season. I think back to the British Grand Prix where he had so many fantastic overtakes. So can he try and muster up that courage and get back through these positions? We know the car has pace. He just needs to try and get the head down and get the moves done. He gets the move done on Norris. And meanwhile now Perez, 1 lap later, Leclerc making a move on Verstappen, and now Russell lurking in the background. Can he try and catch one of these guys napping and get back up in the top 3 positions there? All to the while, so I'm taking it kind of easy in P1 there and just assessing the situation behind me. But here we go now. Perez is going to be susceptible to Russell. Down the inside he goes. He uses Verstappen as a bit of a toe there to get himself through. They're now neck and neck once again as we go through into sector 3. But Russell, the inside line, surely can force Perez out there on the racing line. Yes, he can. And he's up into P3 once again. And here's hoping now we can try and charge after Max Verstappen into the final lap of this GP. So we swing through now onto that last lap of the Grand Prix. You can see I've closed the gap up to Verstappen, basically playing a bit of Cupid here in terms of the second place and Russell, because I thought, you know what, we've come so far in this race. I want to try and help Russell out, so we're going to be a bit cheeky here, and we're going to try and help out Russell as best we can. So we go defensive to the chicane. Verstappen tries the outside. We now cut across. No contact made, though. Just force him a little bit wide, and Russell's able to see the gap and pull through on the right. It's now just all down to him. He's got to make the move now and keep the second place. They're neck and neck, both with DRS here. Russell has got to get the move done here. It's now or never to the inside of Verstappen there. Verstappen blocked off a little bit by my car, but Russell gets the job done on the left-hand side. He's ahead of Verstappen even before the next left, and so he's slotted in back into second place. And so once again, into the last sector of the last lap of the last race, it is a 1-2 for Ferrari once again at an Abu Dhabi GP. And so we're going to come through the last few corners then in some style to not only win the Drivers' Championship, but also the Constructors' Championship for Scuderia Ferrari. And we're going to do it with 2 1-2s to round off the season. We go across the line side by side to win the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and win the championship.
You've been superb all season and you've got your reward. You are the Drivers' World Champion. Congratulations.
And with that, another year of Formula One draws to a close, and a new World Drivers' Champion is declared. Another entry added to that prestigious list of the sport's most incredible drivers.
So there we have it. Like I said, I wanted to round it out in style, and we have done. Season 5 is complete, and we've won the Drivers' World Championship with Ferrari, but crucially as well, at the same time, got the Constructors, which was something I didn't think we could do, you know, very early on this season. I wrote it off completely because the car was so bad, and we were so inconsistent in terms of scoring points. But, you know, like I said at the very start of that race, we've turned this car from literally the worst car by a mile. I mean, remember how slow it was at Australia, into an absolute beast there. That's got 2 1-2s in a row to end off the season at Brazil and Abu Dhabi. And so here's confirmation of the trophies. Guys, if you did enjoy this episode and indeed enjoy the entirety of season number 5 of this F1 2019 career mode, then be sure to smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do subscribe for weekly full-on content. I've been Aarava. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Nice job this season. You've been performing well, and that's putting us in a strong negotiating position contract-wise. Plus, my 10%'s getting more valuable. So enjoy your break, and keep up the good work next year.